Hi, it's Kirby Summers. I want to recap what's going on with A Marie Villafaña, who was the lead federal prosecutor in the Jeffrey Epstein case. She worked directly under Alexander Acosta, who was then the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida at the time that the Jeffrey Epstein case got onto their radar. Now, the way it got onto their radar in the beginning was that Detective Joseph Ricari and Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Ryder were working on this case for a while, and when they presented it to their superior, they discovered that there was a lot of pushback. And so what they decided to do was they went above their superior's head and they contacted the FBI. They did so on the basis that Jeffrey Epstein was using an airplane, so it made it interstate, and he was using the telephone. And so these are both things that you can connect it to it being an interstate crime. So meaning that there was more than one state, more than just the state of Florida, that would have then federal jurisdiction. And so A Marie Villafaña was given this case to work on. What's interesting is that she has lawyered up. It's really always interesting when you have people that are basically attorneys who've worked on the Jeffrey Epstein case, and everybody lawyers up. I mean, as you know, Prince Andrew has lawyered up. I'm sure Bill Clinton has lawyered up. We have seen Donald Trump lawyered up with not just the Department of Justice, who recently said they're not being his attorneys anymore. So he has to have his own attorneys. But it's fascinating to watch how everyone is concerned still about this case. However, I want to focus on Marie Villafaña because there's some information that has been made public, but I don't want it to sort of be slanted depending on who's sharing the information and what's going on. So while this was her case, and I want to be able to find here some of her own comments. So she basically said that she was put through hell as she tried to bring an abuser of young girls to justice. She said that it was just, she was treated unfairly by the attorneys and by the man that started to work with Alexander Acosta, who's Jeffrey Sloman. He was the head of the criminal division and then became Acosta's top man, his top deputy, who, it sounds like he was very rude to Marie Villafaña. She wanted to make sure before she put in her time and the energy that was going to be required in this case, she wanted to have some kind of assurance that they weren't going to just back down and bow down to pressure in the end. And she was told that no, everything would be fine. Well, just like with the local case at the Palm Beach Police Department, the same thing happened in the FBI. As soon as time went on and attorneys discovered who was involved, and Epstein's attorneys started pretty much coming down really hard on Alexander Acosta, which is fascinating because Acosta should not have even worked on this case. The work was supposed to be Villafaña's work, so that everybody was going over her head. Jeffrey Epstein's attorneys, her boss, at everyone. And so there's an interesting thing that Alexander Acosta doesn't even remember. So apparently on October 12th, 2007, Acosta drives, I think, like a half hour to a breakfast meeting with one of Epstein's top attorneys. And they met at a hotel. And this kind of hotel is at the airport. You know, you only stay at this hotel if you're going to be taking a flight out the next day. And it's a very unusual thing to do. You would think that Alex Acosta would have been the top dog. You know, he's the guy that people are going to be going to his office to see. But the roles in the Jeffrey Epstein case were definitely reversed. Epstein was the guy who was the top dog. And forget that they put the fact that, oh yeah, he had Ken Starr, he had Alan Dershowitz, he had Jay Lefkowitz, he had, you know, Roy Black, he had these killer attorneys. Well, that's fine and dandy, but ultimately it's Jeffrey Epstein who is the person being investigated here. And it's Jeffrey Epstein who figured more prominently to the government, so that the government had to then go out of their way to meet Jeffrey Epstein's attorneys in a secret meeting. Marie Villafaña is upset because it was her case and she was not invited to the meeting. And then Acosta was like, well, you know, I don't remember. I think here somewhere it says something about that the case was lost because the girls were from poor backgrounds, you know, socioeconomic backgrounds. And it also touches a little bit on the fact that the girls were presented as being prostitutes, as being drug addicts, and I think we can thank, let's see, what's his name? The guy that we all love to hate, Alan Dershowitz. Alan Dershowitz made it his business to go into their social media accounts at MySpace and kind of just made a lot of defamatory statements about these 14-year-old girls. I mean, these were little girls. Yeah, I mean, 14. I was a little girl at 14. You know, I'm sure if you remember when you were 14, you were a little girl. Some girls were 13, and you know, we have learned that there were girls as young as 12, if you think about the triplets that were gifted to Jeffrey Epstein by his good friend, Jean-Luc Brunel. These were three 12-year-old girls. Villafaña was concerned that if her office wasn't working fast enough, that there were going to be other girls that were going to be abused. I mean, it just seems like, did these men not take that into consideration? You know, she basically said when they were asking her, why are you so concerned about this, and why are you pressuring us, and what is wrong with you? She basically turned around and said, because child sex offenders don't stop until they're behind bars. And so then she discovers that there was a plea deal, and that it was like he was supposed to serve a 2-year term. And then she was like, no, he deserves dozens of years. And then it went from 24 months down to 20 months, and then down to 18 months. And we know he only served, I think it was 13 months, and not even, because he was given the ability to have this incredible work release situation. He went with their knowledge, and he rented office space, and he created a brand new nonprofit business that gave him the ability to be approved for this work release program. Now, these federal prosecutors were in on this. The local prosecutors were in on this. I'm not talking about Ricari or Ryder. They were the good guys in this. But the other people, a higher level, the mayor, everyone was in on it. There was something about Jeffrey Epstein that was supposed to be untouchable. Now, we all remember that Alex Acosta made the statement that he was told to back off Jeffrey Epstein because he belonged to intelligence. There's a lot of backpedaling now. Alan Dershowitz has made statements that that's not correct, that Jeffrey Epstein, is of course not a spy. And there have been other attempts to sort of make that statement go away. I think we have to remember that there are a lot of things about this case that were just done in a way that has never been done before. And that's because presidents were involved, Prince Andrew was involved, and because, as we have seen historically, when there is a child sex trafficking case, as with the Franklin scandal, as with the Finders cult, that these are connected to the intelligence agency of one or more countries. And so I'm going to keep harping on the intelligence aspect of this case. I want to remind you that both Alexander Acosta and Marie Villafaña were given positions, high positions after this happened. Alexander Acosta was made labor secretary under Donald Trump's presidency. And so he was given this position on February 16, 2017. And then he resigned July 12, 2019. And if you recall, that's only just a couple of days after Jeffrey Epstein was reapprehended on July 6 of 2019. Same thing with A Marie Villafaña. She went to work for the Justice Department. And I want to say something about this, because when somebody works at the Justice Department, sometimes, and I don't know 100% in this case, but that's a euphemism for, CIA. You're working for the CIA. So I don't know if Marie Villafaña was working for the CIA, but she was given a much better job after her work in the Jeffrey Epstein case, whether she was pro putting Epstein away or whether she just remained silent and did not create a stir, did not put her job on the line. Because if it were me, I would have put my job on the line. I would have called a press conference. I would have said, hey, these guys are bullying me and they're going over my head. They took over my case. And, they're basically sacrificing all these children. And, I want to call attention to this because we need to reverse it. She didn't do that. So while other people are praising her for being, quote, the good guy in this case, fine. She felt bad. But, in this situation, it takes more than just feeling bad. It takes action. So she was given a position, and what's interesting and has always been interesting to me is that she resigned on July. I believe she resigned from her position on July 8th, 2019, and 2 days later, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell. Now, to me, that said something that was really dark. It's like 2 days before Epstein is found dead in his cell, she resigned. Now, the other thing is that the word resign doesn't necessarily mean that these people decided they were going to quit their jobs. It means someone said to them, hey, you're going to have to leave. So resigned in these two cases means they were removed. And the reason they were removed is obvious. It's pretty clear, but I'm going to just spell it out for you. They wanted these people out of the way because there is an ongoing cover-up. All right? Don't take your eyes off of the cover-up, and don't let yourselves be taken down rabbit holes that pretty much lead nowhere. I'd love your opinion on what's going on. Please leave your thoughts on on the comment section here. And, once again, thank you for being incredible partners in this journey that we've undertaken as we try to get some justice for the victims. And if justice means exposure and only exposure, then let's just do that. Let's just keep exposing and analyzing and bringing things to light, and not just taking what mainstream media gives to us because we know there's a slant there. Okay, well, look, I'm going to thank you again for, becoming patrons on my Patreon. For as little as $1.50, you can help me continue to stay on this case and continue to work on this stuff, which, we can't leave it in the hands of mainstream media, seriously. Alrighty, well, listen, you guys have a good weekend. Today is Saturday. Oh, on Monday, more documents will be released in the Ghislaine Maxwell situation, in the lawsuit that Virginia Giuffre and her settled in 2016, the deposition that Ghislaine was fighting to keep secret, the one that was taken by David Boy. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is it David Boyce? It's probably David Boyce. Well, that deposition is going to be released to the public on Monday, November 23rd. So keep your eyes open for that. Okay, talk soon. Bye.